This is it, Bond fans. Bond 22. Like the films themselves, it's taken me a long time to get this far, but all good things must come to an end. Quantum of Solace was the first direct sequel in the series, as it continues the story from where Casino Royale left off. Yes, there have been many Bond films in the past that have made references to one another. I stated as early as my From Russia with Love review that they mentioned Dr. No's demise, and that Bond's old flame Sylvia Trench was carried over. But this one is a continuation in which Bond avenges the death of his flame, Vesper Lynd. So let's jump into our final installment of our James Bond retrospective. We start right off with an intense car chase in the streets of Italy where Bond just gets his ass shot. We're not wasting any time here, are we? He gets to cover where he reveals that Mr. White, the thief who stole all the winnings from Casino Royale, was stuffed in his trunk. We finally get a sexy Bond opening and then open to an interrogation scene where M and Bond interrogate White about his criminal organization, Quantum. M's bodyguard, a fucking double agent, I hate those guys, attacks M and escapes into a crowded horse race where Bond gives chase. Shouldn't you be making sure M's okay? We get another rooftop chase where the two collide in midair and start sissy fighting each other. And guess who wins? Using MI6's giant iPads, Bond travels to Haiti to investigate the now dead bodyguard's flat. He gets attacked by some random guy in waiting where he accidentally kills him. You know, I wish he'd stop doing that. He loses more leads that way. Bond finds that the assassin was originally hired to kill a Bolivian agent named Camille Montez, and he starts spying on her during a conversation she has with her boyfriend, Dominic Green. Green basically gives her to a corrupt general, and Bond swoops in and rescues her, only to get a swift smack in the face. There's a big boat chase, and when they get to land, Bond simply hands her to an unsuspecting civilian. Wow, she really is getting passed around like the town tricycle, isn't she? Bond follows Green to Austria where, during a production of Tosca, a shootout breaks out, to the music of the play. The action is rapidly intercut with footage from the play, which is artsy but really distracting. After finally getting his man, James interrogates him and drops him onto a car. This Bond's pretty violent, isn't he? Actually, he survives the fall, only to be shot at by Green's hitman. The man happens to be an advisor to the Prime Minister. M, thinking Bond killed him, revokes his credit cards and passports. Really, M? When has that ever worked? Bond goes to visit his old friend Rene Mathis, who he had arrested at the end of Casino Royale, where he asks him to accompany him to Bolivia. At the airport, they meet an MI6 agent, Strawberry Fields. They call her that because she's got red hair. Get it? Little Miss Redhead speaks on behalf of MI6, forcing him to return to London the next day. Of course, Bond refuses, and Strawberry decides, hey, if you can't beat him, fuck him. So Bond, Strawberry, and Mathis go to a party hosted by Green where, what a shot, Camille is there trying to once again seduce her boyfriend, who obviously gives less than 2 farts and a martini about her. He's about to push her off of a balcony when Bond steps in to interfere. He once again rescues her from Green when they're promptly pulled over by the authorities and find that Mathis's dead body was placed in the back of his vehicle, framing it. Great, he's shooting at policemen now. And just for good measure, James dumps Mathis into the dumpster. How compassionate. Bond and Camille go to infiltrate Quantum's land acquisition, and during a dogfight, the pair shoot to safety. After they share a heartfelt moment where Camille pours her heart out about her family's death, they escape to the surface where they discover that Quantum is damming Bolivia's water supply to create a monopoly. Once again, stunningly interesting material, guys. Bond goes back to brief M when they find that Strawberry Fields was drowned in oil in a scene that mirrors Jill Masterson's golden death in Goldfinger. M orders Bond to be arrested, and Bond escapes and tells M that she didn't die in vain. M now trusts Bond and sends her men to watch after him. So if you trust him, then why do you need people to watch him for you? Bond rendezvous with Felix Leiter, played once again by Jeffrey Wright, only the second actor in the history of the franchise to play the character more than once. Let's keep it that way, okay, fellas? So Leiter clues Bond into a meeting taking place between Green and General Medrano. Bond escapes some more thugs and makes his way into the desert where Green and Medrano go over negotiations. After Green screws the General, Bond and Camille make their grand entrance, where Bond fights Green and Camille fights Medrano, the one responsible for killing her family. They escape the burning building, where they pursue the escaping Green into the desert. Bond leaves him stranded with nothing but a can of oil. Yeah. So what's he going to do, masturbate to death?
They found Green dead in the middle of the Bolivian desert of all places. 2 bullets in the back of his skull. They found motor oil in his stomach.
Oh, he drank the oil. Okay. Bond goes to Russia, where he finds Vesper's former lover, Yusef Kabira, and has MI6 arrest him because of his involvement with Quantum. The film ends with Bond dropping Vesper's necklace in the snow. How symbolic. A whole film and no classic gun barrel opening? Oh, there it is. At the end of the film. Why would you wait 46 years to break tradition? That's it, the last Bond film. and it's pretty underwhelming. I can't even remember what the plot was. It's a pretty short movie for a Bond film, clocking in at an hour and 40 minutes. The action moves way too fast to keep up with, and it just feels lazy, like they rushed it out to the theaters to meet demand. Aside from Bond and M, I just didn't care about anyone. And the villains, get this, are almost non-existent. How can you have a Bond movie that has no defining villain? It's kind of sad that we're going out with this one, although hope still remains for the franchise. Bond 23 is slated for release later this year, following MGM's financial crisis. Daniel Craig once again is okay, but his films, like Timothy Dalton's, just aren't fun. Casino Royale was a decent outing, nothing memorable, but all in all, you could see they tried. With this one, I really don't recall a single solitary scene. It's like it just doesn't exist. I hate to say it, but this could quite possibly be the worst outing for 007. But you know, after 22 films, what else would you expect? The James Bond series continues to be a milestone in cinematic history. They're traditions now. We don't really expect them to be good, but we flock to each new one just to see what they've come up with. Just because Daniel Craig has played Bond as the straight man up to this point, doesn't mean he won't go in a completely different direction with his next installment. Although it's pretty much been etched into stone, this is the kind of film they want to make. But hey, hopefully this retrospective has given you an idea of just how much these films influenced movies, the spy and action genres in particular. Think of how many movies you've seen that have, at one point or another, borrowed from the Bond series. Its influence stretches far and wide, and with Skyfall releasing later this year, it's a series that has proven it will never die.